sure. Nobody's keeping up with this thing. People have probably said this about lots of different sports cars and supercars over the years, but the only way to describe this car is as a cheat code. This is one of those cars that your license is always in danger, because even when you're going, what would in most any other cars count as really fast, this car still feels like you're not even pushing it. And I know we say this about lots of cars, but like it has so much grip on the front that it seems like it can go around most of these corners without really slowing down all that much, or even at all. Like I feel like I'm braking for them just because that's what you do. There are a lot of companies that have done the whole race car for the road thing, right? Oh, we took the race car and then we put the interior back in and we just changed it just enough to make it legal, and on and on, and et cetera, et cetera. This one, you kind of buy a lot of that marketing line, because that was more or less the actual progression of it. They built the dark horse, and then they built the GT3 race car, and then they built this on top of it. And what they kind of did here was they gave it things that they couldn't give the race car. This is the car that Ford says it would build as a track car if there was no rule book. But then they brought out their pro drivers, and you really got the sense when you talk to them that they actually kind of mean it. Like, this actually does things that they wish their race car would do. We got to talk about all the active aero on this car, because there are these flaps under the front bumper. You can't see them without crawling under there, but what they do is they open and close, and that changes how the air goes under the car or through the radiators and around it and things, and that changes how much downforce is on the front nose. And then of course you've got this swan neck wing on the back. This is where we're getting into the real fancy stuff. On the GT3 race car that the GTD is based on, you can't have active aerodynamics. But this is a street car, there's no rules. So inside these wing stands are hydraulic lines controlling this rear wing so that it can do the thing that you see in F1. When you want top speed, it opens up, air goes straight through it, low drag. But then when you get into those corners, you need that downforce to really put the power down, wing closes. And on this car, it's got its own brain, it does everything automatically. Part of what makes this car work so well is the balance of it. They've moved the transmission back to the back of the car and made it a transaxle. So the rear axle and the transmission are all one unit, and it's connected to the engine with a torque tube. And that moves the weight back, gives it a 50-50 weight balance, and it puts more weight on the rear axle so that when you are sending 815 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque to only the rear wheels, it can actually put that power down. Now, it does have gigantic Michelin Cup 2R tires on it that are doing all the sticking, but that's a lot of power for two wheels. Big car is heavy car, and big car's got to stop, so you need big brakes to go with it. Brembo carbon ceramic rotors here, much lighter than what you would get if it were steel, and more heat resistance. Then being clamped by these big giant 6-piston monoblock calipers up front, 4 pistons in the rear. The Dark Horse did this trick first, where it really made this, what is a big car and what is a big coupe, really dance real well. And this one just takes that and runs with it. So this is where the real race car stuff is happening right here. This suspension, this whole thing, not in any other Mustang. This is an integral link suspension with this pushrod activated rocker arm setup here. And this is what they do in race cars, because this gives you a perfect ratio of inputs as the wheel goes up and down into the shock absorbers and the springs. And these are really cool shocks and springs right here. This is Multimatic's adaptive spool valve. So it's electronically controlled, so it changes the damping, but also it's hydraulic. So when you put this thing in track mode, what it does is literally compresses this spring with a hydraulic ram, and that drops the car 50 millimeters. And then this softer spring that gives you better ride on the road is out of the equation, it's compressed. Now you're just using the hard spring, that's your race spring. And that's how you go from a reasonable ride quality on the street to a proper track setup. The one, I think, very legitimate complaint on this car is that you are still getting a pretty standard Mustang GT interior for $325,000 plus. And I say that approximately because Ford still won't tell us exactly how much this thing cost. Same screen, same dashboard, the Recaro seats are new and they're awesome. Same doors, like, and that just, for $325,000 or, you know, $500,000, who knows, like when you do all the options, you kind of want it to be a little more special, right? It's a lot of money for a, you know, $50,000 Mustang interior. But hey, you know what? If all you want is absolute performance, I get the philosophy at least. Ford committed, they gave you the absolute lightest version of a Mustang they possibly could. I mean, hell, everything on the outside of the car is carbon fiber except for the door skins and the roof rails right here. Like, that's metal. Everything else, carbon fiber. Unless you get the liquid carbon package, in which case everything is carbon fiber. So they did their best. This is it. Put up or shut up time for Ford right now. We talked a big game about this car, right? Oh, it's a supercar with the soul of a Mustang. It's a GT3 car, basically, but for the road, etc., etc. Well, is it? We're on the track. We're gonna find out. So all this active aero, it's actually doing something. It's not actually nonsense. And that's the thing. The only other car that I can really say that about, the only other street car, is the 911 GT3 RS. And that is a high compliment right there. Because most cars, you, the amateur driver, even a pro driver, honestly, will rarely get going fast enough, even on a racetrack, where you will feel the effects of any actual downforce. But this car and that GT3 RS, you actually do feel a little bit of it. And that's special. Look at this. I'm not like exaggerating how much I'm leaning over here. Like, I am pulling a lot of lateral G, and the car is just taking it and continuing to grip. That time I didn't even push wide. So more speed next time. And then out of that corner right there, I mean, I just went all the way to the floor right there, not even thinking about it, not worried, oh, I better be careful, don't get me throttled too much. It's got so much grip and it puts the power down so well. This is why race cars try to train their necks, like, because you start pulling that much freaking G. Like, street cars don't do this. I just want to emphasize that. Like, don't like hurt your neck in street cars, unless they're ones like this. Yes, a little power oversteer, just a teensy bit to rotate the car out of the corner, but all very easily controlled. Big brake right there, and then turn, nothing. It just grabs. And that's wild to me, because that is a very tight corner. I've driven a very good, very fast car through that corner, and even it struggled. And by it, I mean the GT3 RS. Mustang, GTD, man. This thing's the real deal. This car is amazing to drive on the track. It's amazing to drive on the road. It delivered everything Ford said it would. And yeah, it doesn't have a $300,000 interior, it's true. But if someone brings that up, you can just tell them, well, that's because every dollar went into the performance, and that's the truth. For the whole story, go to MotorTrend.com.